Hey, welcome Cooper's Automotive YouTube channel. And we're working on a 2005 Dodge Caravan, a 3.8. Customer's complaint, bing, check engine lights on. So we did a scan test on it and we're connected here using the Edge snap-on modus on this particular one. Not really a fan of any particular scanner. Let's pull the codes and see what's in it. Vehicle's been running fine. And here's what we have. We got a P0406 for an EGR position sensor high, and we got a catalyst bank 1 efficiency code P0420. Now, the P0420 is actually pending. The 406 is actually current. So first thing I'm going to look at is look at the EGR valve and see what's going on there. Let's come out of that. Let's go into some data stream. Let's see if I can find an EGR PID. All right, so we got an EGR duty cycle, we got an EGR flow, and we got an EGR sense of 4 volts right now. And start it up. Let's do a test on the component itself. Functional test. See where I find that in this particular scanner. Try system test. There we go. In system test on the Edge modus, we have an EGR code, EGR test that we can run. And that's going to turn this thing off and on. See if we have any function whatsoever. And we're going to go into flow. And I could hear an engine deflection and switch when we went into flow. We're going to go into block. So the EGR valve is working. I think there's probably some carbon underneath it. These are very common for a bad EGR problem. Okay, you can look at the map sensor on it actually. Caden, focus in on this map PID voltage if we can. Right there, we should see a change on that map when we do a flow test on this. Let's see if we actually do. That would be my theory. And we do see it bounce. And we do see a change, and there it is. See it? So let's turn it off. Block it. Turn it back off. Get my data stream to come back up. So the EGR is flowing. Okay, we'll be right back. I'll talk to the customer about these two codes. All right, after discussing with the customer, has determined that we are going to change the EGR valve. We're going to use this Napa product right here, and it's a 2-26489. It could be carbon up through the system causing this problem. I will know more about that when I take the EGR valve off and unplug it. We would check voltages and grounds and that kind of thing, but we could see that the computer could control it, so no need to go there. We're going to take off a couple 8s right here. Yeah, 1 voltage right up underneath the alternator. So we got that. I would suggest you can just turn that to the side like that. We got a new gasket. That gasket fell off. We've got a 10 millimeter coming straight through there. We got one more, like I say, in between the alternator and that. I don't know if I can get that out of there without moving that alternator. I can't. My attempt's going to be to take this alternator bolt off right here in the top. It's a 15 millimeter, and see if I can rock the alternator down just a little bit and sneak it out of there. At least I think it's a 15. Yeah, it is. See if we get lucky. If not, we're just going to have to unbolt the alternator, and that's all there is to it. Anytime you can use a tool to make it easier, do it. Okay, she's not going down just yet, so I don't believe that that's going to work. Let's find the other alternator bolt on this thing. Man, we wouldn't need much either. The other alternator bolt's straight down underneath the top one, so chances are I might be able to loosen that one. And if I can, maybe still we'll get this alternator to pivot down. I know you can't really see what I'm doing here, because I can't even see what I'm doing here. The labor guide was like, with or without moving alternator. Well, this is probably going to be with. Yep, it's definitely going to be with. So we're going to have to pull the belt, pull the alternator off. All right, so we're underneath the vehicle. I pulled the little cover back. We're going to have to take that belt off of this vehicle. So I got a 1/2-inch drive belt tool in there, and I'm going to leave that tool in there. Underneath the alternator right there is the 15 millimeter bolt. Let me see if you can get a shot of this, or if I can even get on it right here. Could have probably got that bolt from up top, but take both of those out and the alternator is going to move out of our way. So I gotta let the car back down. All right, so you got one bolt straight down here, 15, after you get that other one off of the bottom there, and you remove it, and the alternator rocks down a little bit. So I think with that, we might not have to go any further. And maybe enough to get us our 10 millimeter that's underneath the bottom. So let's find out. Just barely enough room, but that did get that last 10 millimeter out of the bottom of the EGR valve control assembly. See what it looks like. The vehicle's only got 66,000 miles on it.
For how old it is?
Yeah. All right, I really don't see any carbon up through there. I mean, a little bit, but that's not enough to cause a flow issue on that side. There is a little bit of buildup there. Again, not much. And the part going to the upper of the intake is clean. So I have seen these EGRs go bad. It could be intermittently not functioning. That's possible. We can't prove that because we didn't catch it in the act. It does have a valve cover leaking there a little bit. All right, so we got our new 10mm bolts started. It will hold up on that gasket because it's got a little edges on them to hold it in. It's a metal gasket. And you can just balance this thing in place. Hey, what's up, babe? What you got? All right, I got my little Milwaukee quarter on here. I'm just running it in a little bit. See if I can get the bottom one the same way. Oh, not quite getting on it because of the head of the Milwaukee's a little bit big. Let me grab just a regular thin 1/4-inch ratchet. All right, that's a whole lot tighter on that bottom one than I wished. Did start it by hand. The top one's tight. Got a gasket that goes on here and our 2/8. Got a little square notch in them too. So a lot of times when you see something like that, you can actually hold the gasket in place by starting the nuts in the top of it. All right. Spin things around. And basically, the toughest thing is getting that alternator out of your way so that you can get to these. Or reach to the bottom of the EGR valve. All right, that's tight. And tighten up these little ones on top of the intake here a little bit. Because I did loosen them earlier. Just spin that around. Those are in. Let's plug our EGR valve back in. Let's put our top bolt back into our alternator right there. Put our bottom bolt to go straight through in. Now that we got the belt out of the way, we can reach it from the top. See if we can grab our Milwaukee 1/4-inch and a 15mm socket. Get it most of the way. Going out to the bottom one, same way if I can. That battery's so big on this tool. Just turning it in hand, it's really moving easy. It's almost tight. I'm just going to use a 1/4-inch ratchet. 15 mil midi deep socket. It's tight. Now I'm going to tighten up the one in the front right here. Then we got to take it up and put the belt back on. Down here working it. Probably could take that spark plug wire off and give myself a little bit easier of a time getting to that. Okay, so that's tight. Everything's in, the E-jars in. All we've really got to do now, take it up and put the belt on. All right, I went ahead and took it up, put the belt back on. I didn't show that. Everything's plugged back in here. So I'm going to clear the codes on it. And if there's a part 2 of a catalytic converter later, I will post that. But if you do have an EGR code and it doesn't function on the functionality test, and you got your powers and your grounds to it, which you would check if you didn't have any control of it. That's how you change your EGR valve. Thanks for watching. Tune in for the next video, and we'll see you soon.